The train was moving fast and beautiful landscapes were passing by outside the windows. There were still 8 hours of travel ahead of Amber, but she was already mentally at home. Her business trip had been reduced in a few days, and as soon as she heard the news, she hopped on the first train that would take her back to her hometown and her beloved husband. What luck, Amber thought. Tonight I'll be home and we can celebrate our little anniversary together. Miles will be so surprised to see me on the doorstep. I'm right not to call him. Let it be a real surprise. It's okay if he's not prepared for a romantic atmosphere. I can surprise him myself. I'll buy candles and rose petals, just like in the movies, leading from the bathroom doorstep into the bedroom. And I should also get a bottle of wine that will make us a little dizzy. Amber loved her husband with the same reverence she had felt years ago. It was their 5th wedding anniversary today, but in reality, they had been together for over 10 years, since high school. As she gazed out of the train window, Amber fondly remembered how Miles had been when they first met. In the middle of their graduation year, a new boy had come to her class. His name was Miles, and at first sight, Amber didn't like him. He was brash and cocky, but he excelled academically. "What are you reading?" he asked her one day during recess. "You won't be interested," Amber replied defiantly. She didn't feel like discussing her favourite author with a newcomer. "And what makes you think that? Did you look at me and decide that I can't handle anything more challenging than a primer?" It turned out that Miles was well read, but Amber still dismissed him as a show-off and a braggart. "Do you know that Miles's parents died?" a friend told her one day. "He's living with his aunt now. He's lucky he wasn't in the car with them. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sitting here telling us stories about his happy childhood and travels. I heard they considered sending him to an orphanage. Luckily, his aunt agreed to take him in." After that conversation, Amber looked at Miles with entirely different eyes. Behind his tough exterior, she saw a poor orphan boy, and suddenly she wanted to get to know him better. His jokes no longer seemed meaningless, and his attention even became relatively enjoyable. About a month after their first meeting, Amber agreed to go out with Miles, and she never regretted it. Their first kiss, their first embrace. She knew she had fallen in love, and she carried that feeling with her throughout all these years. After high school, they both enrolled in the same college, never wanting to spend a single day apart. In their 6th year together, they got married. When Amber arrived at her station and got off the train, it was already 5 o'clock in the evening. It was getting dark early in the fall, and while she was shopping for everything she had planned, dusk fell. She couldn't find rose petals, but her bag contained fragrant candles, a bottle of French wine, and new underwear that would surely excite Miles. The anticipation of happiness was overwhelming. The front door was locked, but instead of ringing the bell, she simply opened it with her key. "I'll surprise him," Amber thought to herself, tiptoeing towards the bedroom. Miles was in the bathroom, humming to himself. Amber was about to open the door when her husband suddenly appeared on the threshold and almost slipped on the wet floor, clearly taken aback by the unexpected encounter. "What are you doing here?" His voice sounded unusually high-pitched. It was evident that Miles had lost control of himself due to the surprise, although he quickly tried to regain composure. "Amber, I'm so glad!" Managing to recover from the surprise, he quickly approached her, awkwardly wrapping his arms around her and trying to pull her away from the bathroom. This wasn't the kind of reunion Amber had imagined, but she attributed her husband's abruptness to confusion and consternation at her sudden appearance. "I'm also overjoyed to see you. My business trip ended early, so I thought I'd surprise you. Are you upset that I showed up unexpectedly?" "Of course not. Come, quickly to the kitchen. I'll make you some coffee. We can sit and talk. You must be tired from the journey," Miles said, attempting to steer his wife away from the bathroom door. However, Amber, smiling, freed herself from his embrace. "Just a moment, I just got off the train. Let me at least wash my hands and freshen up a bit. Actually, it would be nice to take a shower or a bath before dinner." "Don't go in there!" Miles shrieked with fear. Amber frowned. It was the first time her husband had ever behaved so strangely. "Why? What's wrong with the bathroom?" Everything's fine, I just don't want you to go in there right now. Amber found it so peculiar that she immediately wanted to open the door and see what her husband was hiding. Don't be silly, Miles, I'm going to wash my hands. Are you going to tell me to wash and shower in the kitchen? There's a surprise in there. Amber heard a hint of desperation in her husband's voice, and she concluded that he had hidden her wedding anniversary present inside. Well, go and get it. I'll wait here, she suggested. There's no way to get it. What's in there, after all? Amber was getting anxious. She abruptly opened the bathroom door and was stunned. Rose petals were scattered all over the floor. The bathtub was filled to the brim with foam and more petals, and burning candles adorned the edges. Everything was exactly as she had imagined. What is it? She turned back to her husband, seeking an explanation. This is the surprise I told you about, her husband replied with a slight hesitation. But you didn't know I was coming early, did you? Amber looked at Miles, unable to comprehend what was happening in their apartment. But you see, Miles excused himself, I was rehearsing our meeting. I wanted to see if it would turn out beautifully. I bought candles, filled the bathtub, created a fragrant foam, and decorated it with rose petals. I thought I would get in myself and see how it looked, to see if you would like it. Amber looked at Miles, torn between laughter and tears. The image of her husband, immersed in bubbles and petals during his rehearsal, made her burst into laughter. Only you could have thought of that, she said amidst her laughter. You know what? This is exactly what I had been dreaming of during the entire journey home. You can check my bag. I bought almost the same candles as you did, except I also got wine and a brand new set of lingerie. I hope you didn't buy lingerie for me, planning to try it on while I was away? Amber laughed heartily, and Miles, gradually calming down, started to smile as well. Well, no, I didn't think of new underwear, but you know, I have an idea of why such a beautiful bath is going to waste. Let the rehearsal not go in vain. Lie down, rest from the road, and I'll go get a cake and some fruit right now. Without waiting for Amber to say anything, Miles grabbed his jacket and phone and rushed out of the apartment. Well, let it be so, the woman thought. Romance, of course, is not at all what I imagined, but let it be better than nothing. She undressed and sunk in the pleasant scented water covered with foam. Candles crackled rhythmically, their flickering flames soothing. Tired from the journey, Amber began to relax and even dozed off a little. She woke up to the sound of the front door. Miles returned from the store. Amber hurriedly got out of the water and, wrapping herself in a fluffy towel, went to her beloved, who was already preparing appetizers in the kitchen. In the hallway, she accidentally dropped his jacket off the hanger, and picking it up, noticed a velvet box had fallen out of its pocket. Amber carefully opened it and froze, amazed at the beauty of the ring that lay inside. The golden ring with a neat diamond was the most suitable gift for their wedding anniversary. Miles, my sunshine, Amber thought with admiration. What a luxurious gift! It must have taken you a long time to save up the money for it. We are not rich enough to afford such rings. But you did that for me. Well, I won't confess that I found it. Let it be a real surprise. Amber carefully put the box with the ring back in the jacket pocket and, as if nothing had happened, went to the kitchen. Miles had already set a light dinner. There were candles bought by Amber on the table, a cake and fresh fruits were placed nearby, and Miles, with a business-like look, uncorked a bottle of wine. It was clear that after the trip to the store, Miles calmed down and became as relaxed and cheerful as usual. Amber eagerly awaited the moment when he would finally give her the coveted velvet box. But for some reason, her husband did not rush to do it. Throughout the evening, he joked and poured wine for Amber, and she could not understand why he was delaying the gift. Amber did not dare to confess that she had already seen the precious gift, thinking that in the hustle and bustle, her husband simply forgot about it. Slightly disappointed, she went to bed. The most annoying thing was that Miles fell asleep before her, and therefore all dreams of a romantic night vanished like smoke. The next morning, Amber woke up and found that her husband had already left for work. Today she could stay at home and relax after a long trip, so she started cleaning the apartment. Miles's jacket was still hanging in the hallway. He left in a coat, apparently not remembering about the ring. Amber decided to take out the box again to admire the beautiful gift. To her great surprise, there wasn't any box in the pocket. Where could it have gone? The woman wondered. I'm sure I put it back. She checked all the pockets of the jacket again and couldn't find the ring. Amber sat on the couch, lost in thought, analysing all the events of the previous evening. The box was there, and the ring was there. I remember exactly what it looked like. Amber pondered. Besides, Miles was behaving very strangely yesterday. That fear in his eyes, the bath filled with rose petals, the hustle, the quick run to the store, even though I usually have to persuade him for half a day. It's all very strange. The woman waited for her husband to come home from work with a firm intention to have a serious conversation with him. But for some reason, Miles was greatly delayed. At first he didn't answer the calls, and later it turned out and his phone ran out of battery and there was no charger nearby. He came home tired, looking like a stranger, and refusing dinner. Immediately went to sleep. What's happening to him? Amber thought. She couldn't sleep at night, and the next day an event happened that put everything in place. Where did you get that ring? Amber accidentally overheard a conversation between colleagues in the office. It's so adorable. What kind of stones are these? We had a small anniversary, 3 months since we started dating. I would have preferred something more expensive. You know my demands, but my boyfriend is still young. He doesn't earn too much, although he has prospects. Amber couldn't believe her ears and eyes. Her friend, Stephanie, showed their colleague the ring that 2 days ago had been in the pocket of Amber's husband's jacket. Wow, what a beautiful ring, Amber said, approaching closer. You're lucky, but why didn't you tell me that you were dating someone? Well, you know, Stephanie replied with a hint of shame. I didn't want to jinx it. That's strange. You used to run and tell me about your new boyfriends even before dating, at least a week. Amber exclaimed. Is it that serious? Are you planning to marry him or something? Without blinking an eye, Stephanie started bragging about how lucky she was with her new boyfriend, how caring and attentive he was, how much he loved her. Amber stared at her friend and couldn't understand how these two could do this to her. Stephanie and Amber had met in their early youth. Stephanie was only 17 when, taking advantage of her strict parents' temporary absence, she decided to go to a nightclub with friends. Unaccustomed to alcohol, the girl quickly got drunk and didn't even realize when her flighty friends disappeared. Amber was celebrating her graduation from college with her classmates. She noticed that a rather shady-looking man sat down next to the lonely, intoxicated girl, constantly pouring some kind of drink into her cocktail glass. Amber decisively approached the table and declared, Hey, little sister, it's time for us to go. Our dad is waiting for us in the car. The unsuccessful suitor, startled, glanced at the several strong guys who had gathered around Amber and hurriedly retreated. Dad? My dad? The girl stammered in fear. Where? In the car? What car? At your home. Do you remember where you live? Well, great. That means we'll go now. Amber called a taxi and took the girl home. Stephanie was feeling sick. She was very unwell, and Amber stayed by her side almost all night. Since then, despite the age difference, the girls have become friends, or rather almost like sisters. Amber, like her older sister, took care of Stephanie, who always needed the advice of her wise friend. The parents did not have time to take care of their daughter. The father worked a lot, and her mother, being naturally very jealous, constantly accompanied her husband on his numerous business trips, leaving her daughter alone. Amber prepared Stephanie for admission to the college, the same one she herself graduated from, and later helped her named sister with her studies. When Amber was getting married, she asked Stephanie to be her maid of honor. Sure, Stephanie had been a frequent visitor to Amber's family, but now, was she really the one who destroyed it all? During the lunch break, Amber approached her friend and calmly looked her in the eyes, saying, "You know, I saw this ring before. Do you want to tell me everything yourself?" Stephanie was taken aback, but immediately tried to compose herself. "You saw this ring? Where? At the jewelry store?" "No, in my husband's pocket." "So, you're saying you've been having an affair for 3 months now, aren't you? And all this time, I was wondering why they started sending me on business trips instead of you, almost every week. So I was away, and you and Miles were having fun behind my back." "I'm not going to explain anything to you." Stephanie suddenly changed her expression, her beautiful face contorted with anger. "Sort it out with your husband." With that, she turned around and quickly walked away. Amber was standing alone watching her go. How bitter it was to realize that the two closest people had stabbed her in the back. The pain of their betrayal was simply unbearable. Amber excused herself from work, claiming to feel unwell, and returned home. Stephanie had likely already called Miles and warned him, because he was already waiting for her at home. So, the surprise was for her. Rose petals, candles, a gold ring with a diamond. I apparently didn't deserve all this. What happened between us? Where did your love go, Miles? Is it really over? We dreamed of having a child. I dreamed of... Miles remained silent. For the first time in the past year, he took out a cigarette and smoked. The silence hung in the air, and a heavy weight burdened them. "Do you love Stephanie?" Amber tried to understand. "What attracted you to her? What can she give you that I can't? Did you fall for her father's money?" Miles remained silent, and Amber suddenly felt an overwhelming surge of hatred for him and her best friend. "That's it! No more silence! Pack your things and get out of my apartment! Go to her place! Get out! I don't want to be around you any more. If you don't leave now, I'll do something to myself. I hate you for what you've done. You've betrayed all my dreams and hopes. You've trampled all the feelings I felt for you. Go, I beg you, or else one of us will die tonight." Amber sobbed in hysterics, while Miles silently packed his things. At one point, he tried to approach her and hug her to calm her down, but she recoiled from him like a leper. "Go away," she screamed, like a wounded animal. "Don't touch me." Miles picked up his bag, put on his jacket, and taking one last look around, walked out. As soon as the door shut behind him, Amber fell exhaustedly onto the bed and buried her face in the pillow, howling like a madwoman. She couldn't imagine how she would live without the one who had long ago become her only family, who had brought her joy for so many years, the one she had dreamed of having a child with. Her heart was broken. She was unable to show up at work soon, afraid of encountering Stephanie there. Therefore, she took a vacation at her own expense. However, as it turned out, Stephanie left the company the day after Amber kicked out her husband. "She won't be lost without this job," the workers at the firm reasoned. "Stephanie has money. She already bought a car for her boyfriend. But let's not say anything in front of Amber. She's feeling so bad." But Amber was aware of everything that was happening. She saw with her own eyes the happy couple driving past the office where the abandoned wife worked. That Miles seemed like a normal guy. What attracted him to Stephanie? Amber's colleagues wondered. Amber is such a smart, beautiful girl. She has everything going for her. What more do these men want? They've been together since high school. Maybe he got bored. You know how it is with people. They love each other and then they want something new. "Yeah, or someone new," an older woman chimed in. "My husband ran away with my neighbour. What was he missing? I'm a better homemaker than her, and I'm 5 years younger. And she's not beautiful at all. However, he's fed up with me. That's all. That's our fate as women. sighed another employee. Don't talk nonsense about fate. The man has strayed. Maybe he wanted an easy life. Amber should have waited a bit. Maybe he would have come to his senses. After all, they were married for years. It's a shame they don't have a child. Maybe then they would have stayed together. You're talking nonsense, another divorced employee interjected. And who's to say kids would have stopped him? I have 3, and where's their father now? He's raising someone else's children and doesn't even think about his own. So Amber is lucky she doesn't have a bunch of kids from this scoundrel. Regardless, all of Amber's colleagues felt sorry for her and sympathized with her. Amber was utterly dejected. She could hardly sleep at night, and as a result, she had bags and dark circles under her eyes. In just a few days, she looked as though she had aged 10 years. Well, that's not the way it's going to work, a young employee, Mary, finally decided. She had recently joined the team and was working alongside Amber. I can't bear to see you suffer. Don't take offence, I'm new here, and you have every right to send me away. But listen to what I have to offer you. I think you need something to keep you busy. 2 years ago, I went through a painful breakup with my boyfriend, and I even had terrible thoughts. But through the psychological help service, I met some good guys, volunteers. They helped me a lot back then. We meet several times a week to help people in need, the elderly, the homeless, and families with many children. All of our volunteers are young, cheerful, and kind-hearted. They are the kind of people you need to be around right now. Taking Mary's advice, Amber joined her volunteer group and soon realized that her colleague was right. Every day facing with human grief, she slowly forgot about her own troubles. Soon she felt like the man in the parable who complained about his lack of boots until he met someone who had no feet. After all, Amber thought, these two have found each other and deserve each other. And it's good that I now understand this and realize that for all these years, I have been with insincere and false people. Now I know it. So why should I be sad about them, especially about Stephanie? Mary is simple, open and reliable, and I didn't notice her. Gradually, Amber's own pain seemed more insignificant to her, and she completely immersed herself in solving other people's more important problems daily. Someone needed to be fed. Someone needed to be warmed with hot tea. Someone needed medicine or a warm jacket. One old man had a flat shoe, and another had a festering leg wound. And one day, something happened that changed her life forever. Mary and Amber, as always, were helping to distribute food to the homeless when they noticed that a boy approached the crowd of homeless people, approached and started looking into their bowls. He was decently dressed, although his clothes were already worn out. "Have you seen him before?" Amber asked, nodding her head towards the boy who was about 7 years old. "No, he's a new kid. We often have kids from dysfunctional families come here. We already know them well. We provide them with clothes and shoes, and we bring them medicine and food. This boy doesn't look like a disadvantaged child. But he's obviously hungry. Look at the way he looks at the food, but he's afraid to ask for it. Maybe he ran away from home or got lost," Amber suggested. She put the ladle aside and decided to approach the boy. "Hello," she said cheerfully. The boy jumped in surprise. "Don't run away. What's your name?" "I'm Amber." "My name is Ian." "Ian, are you hungry? Come on, I'll feed you." The boy looked at Amber apprehensively. "Grandma told me not to take anything from strangers." "Your grandmother is extremely right, except that I'm not exactly a stranger. Many people know me here, and Ben can confirm it, for example." Amber turned to the elderly man, who was happily eating porridge. "Right, Ben, you know me, don't you?" "Well, of course. Don't be afraid, kid. We have good girls here. They won't harm us." Ian followed Amber, and taking a plate of hot food from her hands, started eating with warmth on both cheeks. "I wish I could take some to my grandmother. She's hungry too." He looked regretfully at the empty bowl. "What's wrong with your grandmother?" Amber decided to find out. as she was disturbed by the fact that a decent-looking child was wandering around the city so hungry. Ian was a little shy, but Amber managed to get the story out of him. It turned out that Ian's mum had recently passed away. The woman had been ill for a long time, and Amber suspected that it was cancer. After his mum's death, the boy was left to live with his elderly grandmother, but recently she had fallen ill, unable to get up. Now she couldn't take care of her grandson anymore, as she needed help herself. They had no other relatives, and the 7-year-old boy and his sick granny found themselves all alone and without any help. At first a neighbour helped us a little, but she's gone now, and we've run out of money. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday, and my grandmother is hungry. I went to town thinking maybe I could ask for some money. I've seen people asking for money. Passers-by give it to them. But I noticed you were feeding people, so I came over. Mary, may I go to Ian's house with him? Amber suddenly suggested. You'll manage here without me? Yes, I think they'll do even without me. Let's go together, she suggested. Taking some food, the women followed Ian to his house. The small apartment was not like those lodgings where homeless people lived. It had the love and care of its owners. The dust-covered dressers were carefully adorned with lace doilies, and a couple of 100 books languished behind glass in the bookcase. Grandma says my mum used to read a lot when she was a kid, Ian explained, pointing to the closet. She used to read a lot to me too. There are my books on this shelf, but now I don't have anyone to read them to me. Ian's grandmother was lying on the bed in her bedroom. Upon seeing the guests, she tried to get up and ask them something, but her speech was slurred. It was evident the woman was in poor health. Don't worry, Amber hastened to reassure her. We're volunteers. Your grandson found us. We've brought some food, and we'll make you something to eat now. The woman nodded in agreement, and tears flowed from her eyes. She slurred something again, and Ian leaned closer to her, repeating her words loudly. Granny says she's ashamed to be lying down, but she's completely weakened. Granny apologises to you for her helplessness. Don't be upset. Everything will be all right now. We won't leave you in trouble, said Mary, as calmly as possible, although her trembling voice revealed her concern. The girls helped Ian clean the house, and together they prepared food and fed their grandmother. I'm afraid I'll be taken to an orphanage, Ian said sadly. They wanted to take me away before, even before my grandmother became ill, but she didn't give me away. And now she's sick, and I don't know what to do. Don't you have anyone at all? Amber realised that the elderly woman needed care herself, and here was a boy, just a child. Grandma said I have a daddy, but I've never seen him. The elderly woman gestured to Ian again and weakly said something to him. Grandma says there's a picture of Daddy in the album and asks you to find him. Ian pulled an old family album from the shelf. I remember. There's a picture of my daddy here. I'll show it to you now. The picture showed a young couple. They were both dressed in summer clothes and looked pleased. Mum said she met Dad when she was working as a camp teacher. They met at the sea. He was from another city. Wasn't my mum beautiful? Amber and Mary looked at the old photo and understood how difficult it was for a boy to be without his father and mother. Would you like us to find your daddy? They asked Ian. The women realised that finding the boy's biological father would be the best thing they could do for him now. Probably, answered Ian timidly. Only he probably won't want to know me. He's never come to my birthday party. Ian, the grandmother weakly called her grandson. Come here, my good boy. Ian came and hugged his grandmother. Girls, I know his name, the woman admitted weakly. Please find him, in case something happens to me. I don't want Ian to be left all alone. His name is Joe Pierce. Amber wrote the name in her notebook and tried to reassure the elderly woman. We'll try to find him. If you allow us, we'll take this picture. Ian, don't worry. We'll be sure to return it to you safe and sound. With the surname and name in hand, and with an approximate year of birth, the girls quickly found him through social networks. It turned out that Ian's father was living in a neighbouring town. He was married, but apparently had no children. "Well, judging by the photos from his social media, it's not a poor family," Mary said, shaking her head. "Look at the mansion they're taking pictures in front of. And their cars are cool. And here are pictures from the islands, from resorts. And Joe's wife is obviously wealthy. She's all dressed up, with silicone breasts and pumped-up lips. Unlike you and me, right, Amber?" "I don't care about his wife. I wonder if he'll even want to listen to us. Or will he chase us away?" "Well, we won't know unless we go. We can't delay it, or Ian's grandma might get worse, and the boy will be left alone." The women decided to go to Joe's house without postponing the trip. One of the volunteers helped them with the address, since his brother worked in the patrol service and could look it up by the license plate number. But at the last moment, Amber had to go alone. "I've twisted my ankle," Mary called her. "Let's postpone it for a couple of days. I'll feel better and go with you." No need. I've already made up my mind and won't postpone," Amber said. "Take care of your ankle. I'll call you in the evening." Amber quickly found the house where Joe lived. The mansion, which she had already seen in the photo, stood out among the neighbouring houses. However, she couldn't approach the house itself. The entire perimeter was surrounded by a high fence, with surveillance cameras hanging from the gate. Initially, Amber decided to wait, hoping that the owner himself would come out of the house so she could stop him and talk to him. But remembering that Ian was waiting for her help somewhere out there, she shook off her hesitation and rang the gate insistently. "I need Joe Pierce for urgent private business," she declared firmly. Amber herself was surprised at how convincing her voice sounded. "What kind of business? You could have just called instead of showing up at the house." The woman, apparently the housekeeper, answered on the other end of the line. "It's urgent and can't wait. Just tell me if he's at home or not." "Eleanor, I'll answer it myself," a male voice came. "Good afternoon, young lady. What do you want from me?" "You are Joe Pierce?" Amber asked to confirm, and upon receiving confirmation, she continued, "Do you know the name Claire Sergieva? If so, please come to the gate. I have important information for you." A moment later, the gate in front of Amber swung open, revealing a handsome man in the opening. His face showed concern. "I haven't heard from Claire in years. Why are you looking for me?" he asked in surprise. "Do you know you have a son?" A look of disbelief crossed Joe's face. "A son?" "Yes, you do. His name is Ian, and he's almost 7 years old now. Look, is that you in the picture here?" "That's the man the boy thinks is his father, and that's his mum. She died a year ago." "Claire died? Oh my God, I didn't know. Wait, you're saying she had a child, a boy, who was 7 years old? When was he born?" Amber was just about to answer when suddenly a woman appeared behind him. "What's going on here?" she exclaimed in a high and unpleasant tone. It was Beth, Joe's wife. Having seen from the cameras that her husband was talking to a strange woman at the gate, she hurried to deal with the situation. The woman was clearly older than Joe and looked slightly different from the photo on social media, but Amber recognized her nonetheless. "Beth, it's for me," Joe calmly replied. "I can see that, but what does she want? If they came to impose all sorts of nonsense on you, don't buy anything. Send her away." "I've already finished talking. It's fine. Go back to the house." Joe discreetly took out a business card and slipped it to Amber. "Call me a little later," he whispered, and then added it louder so his wife could hear. "Thank you. I'm not interested in your offer." Amber immediately understood that Joe didn't want his wife to know about the conversation, so she didn't insist. She found a nearby cafe and, sitting comfortably at a table, dialed Joe's number. Half an hour later he arrived. "So what's going on, after all? Explain it to me," he demanded. "You see, I'm just a volunteer, and I don't really know your situation myself. I just decided to help the boy. The woman you dated 8 years ago gave birth to a boy. His name is Ian, and he's about 7 years old. The thing is, the kid is in a very difficult situation. His mother died, and he was left to live with his grandmother. But the old lady is very ill now, and Ian can't be left alone at any moment. I found out that he has a father and decided to find him. And my investigation led me to you. I'm very sorry for the boy. He is such a homely, beloved child, and it would be very scary if he goes to an orphanage. Ian is terrified of that. I first saw the boy when he looked into the bowls of homeless people because his grandmother was very sick and could not take care of him. At some point, they were left with no money at all, and Ian started to starve. We are helping them now. In the few days that I have known the family, the grandmother has slowly started to get back on her feet. But she has a heart condition. I can't guarantee that she won't go to bed again. Why, if the child has a father, should he go to an orphanage? I swear to you that I didn't know anything about my son, Joe said in desperation. I have not seen Claire for many years and had no idea that she was pregnant and had given birth to a child. You know, we had a little romance in the summer by the sea. When I came back to the city, I went to see her a few times, but we lived in different cities, and somehow it happened that the relationship came to naught. I liked Claire a lot, but my family wouldn't accept a girl like her. What was wrong with her? Amber didn't understand. When I started dating her, I didn't say I was from a rich family. I was so fed up with my university studies and my father's plans to send me to work for his companion abroad that I rebelled and ran away, determined to spend at least one summer doing what I wanted to do. I got a job as a simple counsellor and went without a penny of money to a children's camp by the sea. All the counsellors there were simple students, future teachers and kindergarten teachers, and just fun people. I had such an easy and fun time that summer. Among the other counsellors was Claire. She had just finished her 3rd year at the pedagogical college, and, like the others, she was happy to work at the sea camp. We sang songs around the campfire, went swimming in the evenings while the children slept, and eventually fell in love. I chose Claire, and she chose me. But the summer fairy tale couldn't last long. After a couple of months, I still had to leave for an internship in England, and when I returned 2 years later, I married Beth. I remembered Claire fondly, but I had no idea that our summer romance had given her a son. Tell me honestly, if you agreed to talk to me, does that mean that you don't mind seeing your son? Amber asked with hope in her voice. Give me their address. I'll try to get there as soon as possible, maybe the next day. What about your wife? She'll probably mind, won't she? Beth? Probably, yes. She's very jealous and likes to control me, but to be honest, I'm sick of this life. When I agreed to marry her, I went along with my father's wishes. Beth is wealthy, and her mother allowed my family to stay afloat during the crisis. She is a very selfish person who considers me her property. Beth categorically does not want children, while I, to be honest, dreamed of one. I really want to meet Ian, so don't worry, I will definitely come. Joe kept his word, and the very next day he called. Amber, are you free today? Maybe you can keep me company, because somehow I'm a little afraid of scaring the boy. After all, I've never seen him before, and it will be easier with you. Amber agreed to drive up at the agreed time, and together with Joe they went to Ian's house. I bought him some presents, Joe told her on the way. Do you think he'll like them? I've already forgotten what a 7-year-old boy needs. Don't worry, Joe. Ian is not a spoiled boy. He will be happy even with simple attention. And if you bring him presents, he will be happy. Remember, recently him and his grandmother had no food in the house. Ian met them at the doorstep and was pleasantly surprised, though a little frightened. Don't be afraid, Ian, the man said to him. Come, let's get acquainted. My name is Joe. Did you recognize me? Ian looked attentively at his father, but was afraid to speak to him. You're my dad, Ian suggested timidly. I've only seen you in pictures, and you look a little different there. You see, but you recognized me anyway. I'm different there because it was a long time ago, 8 years. Meanwhile, you've not only been born, but you've grown so big. You're really grown up now." Amber came to Ian, squatted down beside him, and looked into the boy's face. "Dad came to see you. He only recently found out about you. I told him he didn't know. He really wants to meet you. Will you let us come into the room and talk to you and Grandma?" Ian nodded in agreement, and Joe introduced himself to Ian's grandmother. The elderly woman was feeling better already, especially since the doctor, whom Mary had called, had visited several times. She began taking her medication and was slowly moving around the house. "Grandma, my dad is here to see me," Ian joyfully announced. "Daddy, come in, this is my grandmother. Sit down here. I'll put the kettle on now." Grandma nodded to Joe and quietly asked, "Please sit down and we'll talk." "And I'll go help Ian for now." Amber quickly seized up and left the room so as not to interfere with the serious conversation. "Let's stay here for a while," she suggested to Ian. "Let Dad and Grandmother talk. Your dad is a good man, and I think you'll like him. But he's in a bit of a difficult situation now, you know. He's married, but his wife is not very nice, like the stepmothers in fairy tales." "Like Cinderella had," Ian guessed. "That fairy tale is for girls. I'm not afraid of evil women." "That's good, but I think your daddy is a little afraid of her. If he tells you he can't take you in yet, don't be offended. I'm sure you wouldn't want to live with her either. When I saw her, I knew you wouldn't like her. But if Daddy comes to visit you, walks with you, and helps you and Grandma, that wouldn't be bad, right?" "I like it even better that way," the boy rejoiced. "I don't know my dad yet, and I don't want to leave my grandmother. And if there's a wicked woman living there, then I definitely don't want to go. I'll tell Daddy to just come and visit me. I'll be glad." "Well, let's go to them then," Amber decided. "They're probably already waiting for us." And so it was agreed. Ian stayed with his grandmother, and Joe came to visit them from time to time. He brought medicine and food, bought clothes and toys. Sometimes he would spend a whole day visiting Ian. They walked together around the city, went to the park for amusement rides, and ate ice cream in cafes. In short, they did all those cool things that bring fathers and sons together. "And Amber is nice. I miss her," Ian remembered about the woman. Amber had been visiting their house less frequently lately. She was finally able to return to work normally and was travelling on business trips again. "I like Amber too," Joe admitted. "Let's invite her to go out with us sometime on the weekend." "I'm all for it," the boy rejoiced. "She's just so kind and beautiful as my mum was. She did so much for me and my grandmother, and she found you and helped me. Let's be friends with her. Please, call Amber and tell her I miss her." Amber agreed to meet Ian and his father on the weekend. "Ian, you've grown up. I haven't seen you for a month," she said, smiling and genuinely happy to meet them. "So how are you? How is Grandma?" "Everything is fine with us. Dad bought all sorts of medicines and vitamins for Grandma. She even goes to the store by herself now. She says she'll start dancing again soon. Well, she's joking. I mean, what kind of dances can grandmothers do?" "I think, Ian, your grandmother will surprise you yet," Amber laughed. Then the woman turned to Joe and asked him, "Well, how are you two doing?" The man looked a little embarrassed. "Yes, how are things? Little by little. We're going to buy a bicycle for Ian today. We called you to help us choose." "Me?" Amber was even more surprised and immediately laughed. "Is this a joke? I've never ridden a bicycle in my life. How can I help you?" "Well, then you, Amber, will have to learn together with Ian, because I believe that everyone must know how to ride a bicycle. Can you imagine the picture? The three of us on bicycles rushing across a huge field." "Yeah, you might be rushing, but I would immediately find a ditch and fall into it," Amber commented, choking on her laughter. "There's no way I'm getting on a bicycle." Amber resisted, but the next time Joe arrived, the three of them were riding their brand new bicycles through the deserted alleys of the park. The woman kept falling, and Joe was laughingly catching her. Ian pedalled well and was terribly proud that he had learned to ride so quickly. "Look, Amber," he shouted, "do it like I do. Do you see?" Trying to look at Ian, the woman lost her balance again, but she did not fall because she was picked up by Joe's strong arms. "Something is wrong with my vestibular apparatus," Amber shamefully remarked. "Well, that's probably enough for today," Joe said, glancing up at the sky. "It looks like the storm is coming 3 hours earlier than the weather forecasters had warned. We've got to get ready to head back." When they arrived at Ian's house, the strong wind had already started to blow. A real storm was brewing. After saying goodbye to his son, Joe took Amber to her home. There, he volunteered to help her carry her bicycle to the apartment. But before they had gone 10 steps, there was a terrible clanging sound behind them. An old tree collapsed right onto Joe's car, and at the same moment, the downpour began. There was no way to remove the huge tree or assess the extent of the damage to the car. Amber and Joe were soaked in a few seconds. "Hurry into the house!" Amber shouted through the noise of the thunderstorm, and they took hands and ran into the entrance. "Why are you laughing?" Amber shouted. "His car's a wreck. He's wet, but he's laughing." "He's having fun," she grumbled, turning the key in the door. "I'm not laughing. I'm happy," Joe explained. "What?" asked Amber with a gasp, though she understood perfectly well what he was glad about. She herself was glad of the way in which what was bound to happen had been accelerated by chance. The morning came, as usual after such a storm, sunny and gentle. Amber did not want to wake her beloved, but she had to do it. Quietly touching Joe's shoulder, she whispered in his ear, "Joe, I have to work in an hour. What do you like for breakfast?" "For breakfast? I would like Amber," replied Joe foolishly, pulling the woman to him. That day she did not go to work, referring to the need to eliminate the consequences of the storm, and Joe texted his wife, "I had an accident. I'm fine, taking care of the car." The car was only slightly dented. By evening the tree had been removed, and Joe had got ready to hit the road. The day before he had made arrangements for a sanatorium for his son's grandmother and for Ian to a beautiful children's camp by the sea, where he had once met his mother. Amber was happy for both the grandmother and the boy, who had never been further from his town, but she realized that she and Joe had been parting for a long time, and she was sad. He would have no reason to come to their town in the near future, at least not until the fall. And that night, well, let it stay that way. She had no regrets. For the first time in her life, she felt how much tenderness a man could give to a woman. But she had no reason to be dishonest with herself. Amber fell in love with Joe at first sight. It was as if something hit her right in the chest, where, as many believe, the soul resides. As soon as he handed her his card and whispered, "Call me later." During the summer, she often called Ian and his grandmother. They were both content and happy, though they missed each other and Amber. Joe called Amber a couple of times, telling her about his meeting with Ian at the camp on Parents' Day, and about the fact that he had managed to visit his grandma as well. "Amber, you can't imagine how tanned he is," the man joyfully informed the woman. "The whites of his eyes are shining on his face. He's learned to swim, and he dives like a dolphin. We were thinking about you. It's a pity you can't get a vacation. And it's far away, of course." "It's okay, I talked to him on the phone, and I'm glad he found friends there. Grandma isn't bored either. She's made some friends there and even has a man. She's made some friends there and even has a man. She even has a dance class, so Grandma will definitely surprise Ian. Thank you for everything, Joe." "Thank you. If it weren't for you, maybe my son would already be in an orphanage. How's your volunteering going, by the way?" "Well, we still go to our group on weekends with Mary. I have a new mentee, a family with many children, so I don't get bored." "I didn't even doubt it. You're an extraordinary woman. And what kind of family? Maybe I can help in some way too." Amber told him about her volunteer days. There was only one thing she kept silent about and did not dare to confess to him, that their only night of love did not pass without consequences. Yes, there were no candles or rose petals, as Amber had once dreamed. There were only two drenched people who warmed each other with their warmth. But there was the main thing, the result of this night. The suspicion of pregnancy, which arose in the woman just a couple of weeks after Joe's departure, was confirmed. "And what are you going to do?" persistently interrogated Mary, who had become the sole confidant in all Amber's affairs of the heart. "Me? I'm going to give birth, of course," Amber answered firmly. "But have you told him?" "No, of course not. No matter how I feel about his wife, whatever she is, they have a family, and I found myself in the role Stephanie was in towards me." "What kind of nonsense are you talking about? How can you compare that situation with the one you're in now?" "Well, situations are different, of course, and so are families, but I feel guilty. Let things go as they are, Mary. I'm not going to push Joe into some decision he hasn't made. Summer will end, Ian will come back, Joe will start coming to us again." But Joe arrived early. He found Amber where she and Mary were handing out food to the homeless. It was not quite usual, because before he came to Ian, and only in the middle of the week, he explained his absence to his wife as business trips. "Amber, look who's coming. A cheerful man with flowers." Mary tugged at her friend's sleeve. At the same time, she had to wrap both arms around Amber. The pregnant woman was pale and lost consciousness. She was seated on a bench next to a table with pots and a share of water. When Amber opened her eyes, she saw Joe's worried face in front of her. "It's nothing," Mary hurried to reassure the man. "In her condition it happens. She got overexcited. And it's time to stop volunteering. She's tired." "In what condition?" Joe was stunned. "Mary, why are you doing this?" Amber interrupted her friend. "What do you mean, why? Are you going to play the silent game forever?" A hunch flashed across Joe's face. "Amber, my love, is that what I was thinking?" "Joe, this doesn't change anything. I'm not going to break up your family," Amber replied evasively. "And you're not going to break up my family," Joe began in a deliberately stern tone. Amber's insides went cold. "Yes, this is the end," she thought. "The end of my brief happiness." Somewhere deep in her soul a glimmer of hope still remained, a hope that one day they would raise Ian and their baby together. But it was not meant to be. And Joe continued ruthlessly. "And you're right, it doesn't change anything." After a brief pause, he continued with a laugh. "Because there is nothing left to break or change. I have finalized the divorce, and now I have come to offer you my hand and heart." "But what about your house, your business?" Amber weakly objected. "It means a lot to you." "I realized that love and family are the most important things in the world," Joe said. "Even without my ex-wife, I'm not a poor man. It's time to move forward. Let's go and make Ian happy." Then he took a velvet red box out of his pocket, opened it, and taking out a delicate ring adorned with diamonds, got down on one knee. "Amber, my love, will you be my wife?" Amidst the cheers of volunteers, homeless people, and passers-by, Amber gave her consent to Joe. 2 days later, they were already by the sea. After obtaining permission from the camp management, they spent the entire day with Ian. As they approached the entrance to the children's camp, they saw a boy happily running towards them. "Oh, Amber has come too!" Ian rejoiced. "And she agreed to be my wife," his father said. "From now on, you'll live with us, and soon you'll have a brother or sister." Ian was overjoyed. The three of them strolled along the promenade, basking in the summer sunshine, and inhaling the sea air. They were truly happy and looked forward to the future with faith and hope.